Welcome back to Paul's Tech News. I don't know about you guys, but I am sick and tired of the wishy-washy, maybe it will happen, maybe it won't, rumor-based claptrap that I routinely regurgitate here on my weekly tech news roundup, which is why this week we're going to focus on real, meaty content, actual news that's firm and reliable, that you can wrap both hands around and think to yourself, impressive. Such as AMD's new Ryzen 9000 series of CPUs confirmed by Gigabyte, MSI stating in writing that Radeon GPUs aren't really their thing right now, copper is verifiably more expensive thanks to computers, and NVIDIA has made a rock-solid commitment to announcing something at Computex. Not sure what, but rumors are flying. God damn it! I promised myself I wouldn't backslide like that, but it's so hard. Maybe I shouldn't just go off the rumors cold turkey, you know? I mean, we could probably have just one more for old time's sake, right? Right, guys? Sounds like a reasonable compromise to me. It's time for tech news.
Excellent!
Today's video is brought to you by Thermaltake's EX series fans featuring magnetic force connectors that can daisy chain fans together to simplify installation and cable management. CT120EX fans feature solid all-around performance and a touch of tasteful RGB lighting. The SwaFan EX series revolutionized case fans by adding swappable fan blades, and the ToughFan EX Pro series sports best-in-class high static pressure for use with radiators and an aggressive all-black design. And all of them feature larger magnetic force connectors for easy wiring. For more on the EX series fans from Thermaltake, click the sponsor link in the video description. After mucking up their CPU naming and numbering scheme yet again with the introduction of the Ryzen 8000 series earlier this year at CES, AMD has apparently made the call to go with an even higher number, 9000, for the next generation of desktop AM5 CPUs, codenamed Granite Ridge, that are expected to launch sometime in Q3. The source for this news is not your classic Twitter leaker or data-mined shipping manifest, but a full-on press release straight from the folks over at Gigabyte, boasting of their 600 series AM5 motherboard's compatibility with said 9000 series processors, with the application of a new BIOS containing a GISA microcode version 1.1.7.0 or newer. Now, it is unlikely that this was a simple typo or clerical error, so while info straight from AMD is still pretty limited, we can basically confirm that Granite Ridge CPUs will be marketed as the Ryzen 9000 series. It's a safe bet that they'll be announced at Computex in just over a month, where AMD CEO Lisa Su is presenting the opening keynote on June 3rd, and since Ryzen CPU SKUs typically use a number that's higher than their family designation, such as 9950X, it's safe to say that all the Granite Ridge CPUs will be over 9000. Dibs on that joke. No one else can use that joke now. Lisa Su won't be the only big tech CEO presenting a Computex keynote. Her first cousin once removed and NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang will also be presenting. Sort of. NVIDIA announced a keynote of their own on Thursday, and in typical NVIDIA fashion, they are swooping in to scoop the other big announcements by making theirs a day before AMD at a special NVIDIA CEO keynote event at the National Taiwan University Sports Center, with no mention of Computex anywhere in this announcement, except for the fact that they're taking place in the same city and basically spooning each other on the calendar. Thinly veiled corporate one-upsmanship aside, the planned NVIDIA keynote could, and we're moving into rumor and speculation mode here, could very well lend credence to last week's story about NVIDIA rushing to launch their Broadwell GPUs for both AI and PC gaming ASAP. I see it going one of three ways. First and most likely, the keynote might just focus on AI data center and maybe autonomous driving stuff, as NVIDIA often does, with maybe perhaps a brief tease or nod towards a new gaming GPU series coming in the future as a one more thing added at the end of the presentation, but with no firm specs or release date. The second option, and maybe slightly more likely based on recent rumors, would be a more substantive product announcement. This would include at least one specific SKU, probably the RTX 5090, and might cover some high-level specs or carefully presented performance numbers. A launch time frame might be given, but probably just a month or a quarter they're aiming for later in 2024. The third option would be an actual full product announcement with an RTX 5090 and maybe a 5080 as well, more robust specs, more gameplay demos, and more overall time dedicated to gaming in the presentation. NVIDIA usually only does this when the GPUs are about a month or so away from launch though, so I see this as the least likely of the three. And regardless of how that goes, I am still inclined to believe that initial volume for the RTX 50 series will be very limited, and they'll be super tough to get a hold of without paying huge markups on the secondary market. MSI is having relationship troubles with AMD, it would appear, at least on the Radeon side, and they are taking some time off to sort out their feelings. They're not breaking up officially, but MSI sure has been spending a lot of time with that RTX guy lately. Specifically for the last generation of video cards, MSI came out with 147 different models for NVIDIA's RTX 40 series GPUs, and only 4 for the Radeon RX 7000 series. A souring relationship between the two companies could explain why MSI plowed forward with the ill-fated Claw handheld gaming device, which is Intel powered, versus all the other good handhelds recently which have used AMD solutions. The RTX versus RX 7000 disparity with MSI has existed for some time, but was only recently noted by Hardware Unboxed on Twitter, prompting German website HardwareLux to reach out to MSI for comment. Our focus at the moment is actually more on RTX cards, said an aloof MSI rep, while taking a deep drag off a cigarette and gazing thoughtfully into the setting sun. Sorry, Radeon, I just think MSI isn't that into you. Speaking of things you shouldn't be into, a contractual agreement with EK water blocks, it would appear, is a bad bet in 2024 based on a scathing report posted last weekend by Gamers Nexus. Using journalistic research methods long thought to be lost to time, such as gathering facts and asking people about things, Steve and company assembled a damning collection of documents and allegations from former employees, distributors, and suppliers of EK, which included a rash of late salary payments made to employees, overdue bills with material providers, poorly maintained internal communication, and an apparent liquidity problem, which made easy fodder for jokes given that EK is a liquid cooling company. EK's internal corrosion was first made public via a LinkedIn post from Dan Henderson, who was a product manager at EK until March 2024, describing both the negative company culture and lack of pay. But perhaps most egregious is EK's use of legal bullying via a cease and desist letter to attempt to silence an employee, while also attempting to collect 70,000 euros from said employee as penalty for breaching EK's NDA. EK then had the gall to tell Steve that they were making no attempts to prevent employees or former employees from speaking publicly. In the weeks since the Gamers Nexus video went up, EK has made an apology video in response with a direct statement from CEO and founder Edvard Koenig, apologizing and promising to do better. He actually hasn't been the CEO for about 5 years, but recently took back over the reins in February. Time will tell if he is able to clean out the muck that has gathered in EK's loop since he stepped down in 2019, but they're far from being out of hot water. Der Bauer posted a response video this week indicating that there is even more to the story than initially revealed, and PCGamesN.com also posted an article alleging racist comments made both in person and via internal company chats. I guess we'll have to wait and see if they still go through with their planned Computex booth. And now we move from the slow news to the fast news, which on my show is called Tech Briefs. A couple weeks back, we discussed Intel's gaming instability problems with 13th and 14th gen core CPUs, and there seems to have been a bit of progress. Asus issued BIOS updates that enable the Intel baseline profile by default, which no longer plows ahead with CPU power limits removed, but now, without the motherboard auto-overclocking the processor is slower. Why can't we have it all? Faster overclocked CPUs, stability, and quick and easy out-of-the-box motherboard configurations. Well, at least some outlets can completely mischaracterize this as some Intel CPUs lost 9% of their performance overnight. No, Jacob, they just turned off the overclock. The crazy rush for new AI hardware is apparently affecting the price of copper, with 1 ton of it now going for about $10,000. I know, that's a great deal. That's why I always buy my copper in bulk. Unfortunately, copper is a very popular material for use in technology and computers. It's just something about how it conducts itself. So everything from motherboards to USB cables could now see a knock-on effect and price increases. In the lead up to his pre-Computex keynote, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang was pictured this week hand-delivering the first ever DGX H200 system to OpenAI's Sam Altman and Greg Brockman. They look surprised for some reason, I'm not sure why. Jensen even signed the supercomputer to advance AI, computing, and humanity. A noble thought, but shouldn't humanity be first on that list? Speaking of AI, last week I went on a bit of a tangent ranting about the horrible things we can assume all this AI hardware is going to be used for, and I just wanted to apologize. I was a bit overly paranoid and critical in my assessment, and we should be more open to these new technologies like AI and advanced robotics and what they can potentially do for humanity. Looks like we have one more story to wrap things up though. Well, fire up the barbecue. Or don't bother, actually. The robot flamethrower dogs can just roast us all in place. Makes for easier cleanup. My daughter loves Paw Patrol. I kind of wonder what she would think of this. Could we just use the Paw Patrol theme over this footage? Paw Patrol, be there on the double. Paw Patrol, whenever you're in trouble. See, Joe, I sang that part so you can use that as the Paw Patrol overlay, because so we won't get copyright struck for using the Paw Patrol music, because I know you're about to go and find the Paw Patrol music, but I don't know. Well, there you have it, guys. Tech news for the week, and if you liked it, click that like button or leave me a comment down below. While you're down there, all the articles I talked about today are linked in the video's description if you're interested, and you can also check out my store at paulshardware.net for high-quality merchandise, t-shirts, hoodies, beer sets, and more. Subscribing to my channel is always a good call too. Thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you next week.